and PPC, and when I want to know what my, like, to check over my keyword strategy. And I feel like I'm pretty informed, but most of it is I'm informed by Mr. Cooper on the things that I need to pay attention to. And his team is excellent at really doing deep SEO on websites and understanding it. And with AI coming into the picture and people using AI search engines, we know ChatGPT is pulling in results from Google, and you still need to rank high on Google in traditional ways, but there are a few little secrets to ranking well with AI. And so that's what Rob is here to talk to us about is AI. They're calling it AIO now, but SEO for AI search.
Yeah, who the heck knows what the name is going to be? Because there's like Ask Engine Optimization, GEO for Generative Engine Optimization. We've been calling it AI SO for AI Search Optimization. And
Yeah.
at some point, some large brand is going to start using a term and it'll stick. But right now, it's all over the map. But yeah, I mean, just some of the background is now, well, I mean, we're all seeing Gemini results in our Google search. There's roughly 20% of our Google searches actually start with an AI result through Gemini. ChatGPT is now the fifth most visited website in the world. And depending who you listen to, they've got somewhere between 20 and 40% of people are now using AI for at least some of their searches. Again, the numbers are all over the place right now, but having watched it, and having watched it kind of since ChatGPT launched their free public search last October, between like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and very recently Claude having web search for their users, I'd kind of bet that by the year's end, 30 to 40% of searches will be conducted through AI. I don't think that's really a stretch at all, which also means Google may not be going anywhere right away, but definitely their impact is being diminished. How relevant Google stays probably hinges almost entirely on how well they integrate Gemini within their search engine and try and keep monetizing it without destroying the experience. But their stranglehold on search, I think, is over. And they did just this year drop below 90% market share for search for the first time for search engines. And like the AI search optimization is really interesting. And like one funny thing is there's not any brand new technology around how to optimize, but there are dramatically different things to kind of emphasize uh, when you're doing it and when you're thinking about it. And the biggest thing that really excites me is that it's kind of a situation of picking of now AI is really focusing on quality content, whereas Google historically has focused on signals. Google doesn't really understand the content on the page. It just understands the signals that we've kind of placed around it. So, how many times is a keyword mentioned on the page or variations of the keyword? How many links are there to the page? What do the metas say? But none of that is the actual content itself, whereas those sort of signals help point AI in the right direction, but AI is really good at actually looking and understanding if the information on a page is really good quality. So that's to me really great because I've always hated kind of the black hat SEO stuff and all the tricks that kind of offer no value to humans, no value to users. So AI being able to really discern quality is way better for us, and that also makes it a bit more democratized in that Google used to really favor and still does really favor large organizations and large websites, whereas AI is really much better at picking that quality, and that has actually led to smaller but authoritative sites and authors showing up in AI search, which hasn't really been the case in Google for a while now. Um, there's kind of some really interesting implications around it. One is that like AI doesn't always attribute where the information is coming from that it shows. Fortunately, it is kind of getting better at that, and typically does um, show the sources of the information. Um, this is especially true in product and service type searches, but in informational services, it's not always that way. But it's kind of interesting because in theory, AI is robbing websites of clicks directly to them. But, and so you might think, okay, well, that makes the website less important. But in practice, it actually makes the website even more important. Because if you're not getting, if the information is not getting pulled from your website and showing up in AI, you're just not showing up at all. And a really good example of that, that we did some experiments for. We did a custom GPT for higher education and helping potential students pick a place to study in Canada. And it's just amazing what the technology will do. Also amazing how many places weren't showing up in there because they didn't have their information viable. So kind of an interesting situation, but and also bringing about some changes to web design itself. Like websites now are really going to have to be for the lower number of people that might be visiting them. It's going to be really important that they're extremely well branded and provide a really great experience. So on the one hand, you need these really, pardon me, experiential websites. Uh, on the flip side, they also need to go really deep and have all your information on it. Because again, if your information isn't on it, um, you're just going to be invisible from that whole AI side. And just noticing there, just going to quickly see, we not seeing Nicole on there for a sec, but just having a look at the chat to see if there are any other topics coming up. And anyway, feel free to jump in if there are any questions or discussion there. Um,
I had well, not really a question, just sort of, well, I guess it is. I don't know. Um, so what you're saying is that website information and SEO essentially has gotten even more important because of AI essentially taking visits from your site because they're getting the information just from like ChatGPT or wherever instead of going to your site.
Yeah, yeah. And so arguably some people would say that diminishes the importance of the website, but I would say just the reverse, that if your website isn't optimized to have your information show up through AI, you're going to become just increasingly invisible. So yeah, totally agreed on that.
So are
But
there like key differences in being able to show up in there, or is it just having complete information?
There are some key differences. Yeah, let's maybe jump on that. One of the main things is that and Google has historically talked about EEAT, like the expertise, authority, and trust, and that makes for a great little acronym. So that's important for AI, but even more importantly, AI is focusing on the creators of the content. So prioritizing authority and expertise is just huge. And again, this is nothing new from what companies should have been doing for SEO as well, but most companies don't, which is making it really clear who the humans are that are creating the content on a website, and then establishing the trust signals around them. So even things like, in WordPress blogs have always automatically created an author page for each author. Historically, almost nobody optimizes those. So that's an example of where everybody should have always done that, but it's become now just ridiculously more important with AI. So doing things like having your author page link out to other places that you write, maybe out to your LinkedIn profile, sort of things like that. Another big element is, and this is kind of again a bit of a dichotomy, but writing for comprehensiveness and readability in the same stroke. Because again, if your information's not there, nobody can possibly see it. But AI really the way it works, it kind of looks for the information. So this is where and this is actually one of the only things that I don't love it as a user, but this is one of the reasons you're starting to see short summaries before posts or articles or product pages or service pages. You'll see a short summary of what you're about to read. And those are really helpful for AI. And there are some technical reasons behind that. So, and just to get geeky for a second, which I'm actually not a technical person, but I kind of felt like I had to learn a little bit about this. GPT stands for a generative pre-trained transformer. And in that training and the pre-training, there's basically two ways that it looks at content and absorbs and trains on content. One is called pre-trained self-attention, and that's when you hear about these models, and that's like, for instance, if you're working with Chat GPT without search turned on, or with Claude up until 3 weeks ago or whenever it was that they launched search. Basically these models would go out and do advanced training and learn about everything, and they'd learn a little bit about everything. And unlike Google, which crawls a page and goes through all of a page, they're just doing kind of word association and kind of taking it as far as they think they should go. So again, that's where these summaries that you see at the start of pages really help the pre-trained self-attention figure out if there's more important information to carry on with. And then on the flip side, at the time, now that search is incorporated, live search, there's real-time self-attention. And in the past, what that would mean was that before search got incorporated as a core part of AI, the models would go out, and at the moment that somebody did a prompt or asked a question, it would look at all its information and do some real-time self-attention. And that's the case where it would go and look at the information that it had existing already in its model. Now with search enabled, ChatGPT or whichever other model will go and look in real time at the point where you do a prompt or question. It'll go and look and do this real-time self-attention that's contextual to your question, and it'll look at the information that's available live on the web as well as the information in its model. And yeah, kind of going way too deep, but it's just, again, making your work incredibly readable is just so important, so that it can do that self-attention properly. And so the short summaries, but then getting into deep content is critical. And I mean, in practical terms, what that might mean is starting, if you have, say, a product page, you might start that product page or a service page with a description of that product or service that's really straightforward, that provides the basic information for folks that need to know that. Basically, like a landing page, have all the information, all the key points that somebody might need to make a decision, who's ready to make a decision. And then as you scroll down the page, just keep going deeper and deeper into the information until you've basically shared all the possible information that would be relevant about it. And something that's kind of fun for me is it takes me back to my roots in email marketing in 2001, when a database of over 1 million people and did 1 million different tests, including testing long copy versus short copy, and found the most effective pages that we found were ones that it sort of were a hybrid, that had the short copy at the start of the page, sort of really succinct, hard-hitting information and a call to action, and then carried on from that short copy into a sort of more a next deeper level. and then in some cases, even to a third level. And what we found was that provided all the information for the different personas that visited, both the people that were ready to act, as well as the people that wanted a bit more information, as well as the folks who wanted a lot more information. They could just keep scrolling, keep scrolling. And because you have each section as a sort of complete section, just at a different level of detail, it serves all those different needs at once. But that's also a great way to look at it for AI search optimization, is to start succinct and shallow with call to action, and then just go deeper, and then possibly deeper again. Okay, probably deeper than we need to go into that, but some other areas that kind of go along with that include structured data. So for instance, schema had kind of fallen out of fashion, and SEO as not being that important anymore. It's actually really helpful for AI search optimization, which this is going to sound really self-serving, but I like that because schema is actually kind of challenging to figure out and implement. So as an agency, it kind of gives us something to do that that not everybody can just jump into and do in a moment. So there's schema is really important, but also things, again, going back to things that historically companies should be doing but haven't, especially so things like having proper titles and headings and tags and linking properly between pages also help that structure there. I mean, some other areas, having up to the minute information can really help in terms of if folks are doing searches and looking for recent information, having your information up to date and clear, and having some signals that it is recent and relevant really helps. And then on the flip, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask you about that recent one. So we do our news once a week, and we do the newsletters. If we have our news, like our blog news, posted on our homepage too, does that help?
Yeah, that's certainly going to help it find it. I mean, it's all, and again, these are all kind of incremental bits, but yeah, anything, yeah, I think anything that helps it find it. Again, if you're thinking in terms of sort of luring somebody down the path, having enough information and making it complete and compelling enough for somebody to go to that next level. So that would definitely help. I mean, I think even more important is probably some of the linking and categorization that we'll talk about in a sec. Again, just on the topic of that kind of content and content strategy, another thing that can really pay off is to pick an area that you can write something that becomes a definitive go-to source of information. And so common topics, those evergreen topics, become really important. And just the granular nature of how people are asking questions about their industry. For instance, if I were writing something about, I don't know, conversion optimization, I'm probably not going to write the best piece on conversion optimization in the world that's going to become the evergreen go-to piece for ChatGPT, but I might be able to write, conversion optimization for local service businesses or something like that. So it's taking it down a bit granular, or even for a specific industry, and making sure I've got kind of the best piece on that. Once AI kind of grabs a piece as being a definitive sort of evergreen topic, you kind of reap the rewards of just showing up over and over and over again. So both having that nice balance of sort of up-to-date content for emerging and changing topics, and then really fantastic, relevant, sort of evergreen content for whatever your most important industries and audiences are, is a cool opportunity.
So
Again, sorry, go ahead.
I just had a question on this. So if we had a blog post, because we do a lot of how-to videos and we don't have them on our website, and if we did have a collection of all the how-to videos for a particular tool, let's say, and then every time we create a new how-to, like if we did a how-to with Jasper, and then we just add the new one with the transcript description of what the how-to is to a blog post, like would that be a good way of like keeping fresh content and having embedded video? Because I was wondering about embedded video if we had YouTube stuff on our homepage, if that's helpful. But to have those blog posts that get renewed with new information and the embedded videos too.
I think the embedded videos will help. I mean, on the home page as an embedded video, I don't think that'll make a huge amount of difference. But knowing the vast skill sets, for instance, in your case, that you have around workflow, it seems like it'd be a snap to get transcripts of these how-tos, and then embed the video in a post with the transcript, and that would be sort of eminently crawlable, and I think could go a long way. And that sort of those sort of topics on sort of emerging products and technologies are really hot. And it's funny, I mean, I've got an example of, I wrote a Canva post like 2 or 3 years ago that is still getting traffic that just cracks me up. And I desperately need to go and edit it because it's like totally out of date, but it's on a Canva topic that apparently nobody has written a lot about. So it's still getting traffic every single month. And it's actually now starting to get some AI traffic as well. So I think there's a real strategy there for you, particularly if you combine it with actually kind of the last thing that I think I haven't talked about in terms of the different areas is promoting, and particularly in light of, in regards to content strategies, is really promoting interpage linking and topic clusters, and along the lines of what I've written about it a bit myself, but HubSpot has written a ton about it as well. So basically, they talk about the pillar strategy in HubSpot. And that's something that we've worked on with clients and just seen ridiculously powerful results. And again, it's funny because it's not rocket science. I mean, executing well on it does take some subtlety and some strategy, but essentially aligning all your topics through your categories and then having appropriate categories and tags for those topics in a manner that really sort of flows the what they used to call the link juice, but really makes it clear for AI how your content is organized and really surfaces those strong topics or pillars that we talk about. And then to really harness that horsepower, also it has them interlinked and tagged in an appropriate manner to go with the categories. So all the sort of the high level topics are your categories. The really important topics are your categories, ideally aligned with the keywords and phrases that people are using to search for them. And then you can get like really well optimized category pages. Again, something that almost nobody does, but is like a superpower within WordPress and is available in Squarespace and most everything else. Same with the tagging, but then having them linking across to each other appropriately. And then for me, the last step that even the companies that do this well often don't do it is strategically linking to the product or service pages that are related to those pillars that you're doing. And that's kind of a win-win that drives traffic to your posts, and then drives visitors from your posts to your services and boosts your optimization for those services or products at the heart of the strategy. That's another thing that I really love as an agency owner is just, again, this stuff is not impossible, but it doesn't really happen automatically. So it does kind of require a good strategy behind it. And it's an area that I'm banking on being able to add value in, even as the tools are there to help do it. Figuring out the strategy for a particular vertical is really great. A lot of value there. And yeah, that kind of leads to as well to the whole idea of where sort of AI content sits in the grand scheme of things right now. And it's funny because I just posted this morning about I think it was Search Engine Journal. One of the big publications had done an article on related to the newest Google internal reviewer guide, where somebody had done a post last week from the presentation that Google had done on their new internal review guidelines, and had concluded that Google was blocking AI content. They kind of missed out on the part where it does say that Google will block AI content, but then they kind of miss out on the part where it carries on to say that it's shown to be low quality, not adding value, unoriginal, because that's where we've seen a ton of value in terms of just using AI responsibly for your content, training it to write in your own voice, adding your own opinions, and not just adding, but creating posts around your own opinions and your own original content. And as I've experienced myself, which was the breakthrough last year that led me to kind of go all in on AI in our marketing workflow, is just that it can just dramatically accelerate the process and give you a better quality output if you're using it well and using it responsibly compared to just writing it by yourself. So, but definitely AI is absolutely ranking, and Google are absolutely ranking AI accelerated content. But fortunately, getting smart enough to figure out sort of where the garbage is and ignoring that. Which kind of, again, to me, there's kind of a flood of garbage content or unoriginal content that has started. And I can see that the flood's gonna turn into a tsunami. But that said, I think that creates even better opportunities for people that are willing to share their original thought, to differentiate and stand out. So there's really a lot of opportunity there. And just to backtrack a bit over one of the points that I kind of glossed over a bit around that pillar strategy and have it incorporating original thought and doing it, is that we recently saw, and this is a fairly small website, so I don't want to overstate it or make it into something more than it is, but we had a small regional website that we did a pillar strategy overhaul on. And they basically immediately saw 70% more traffic the month after, including, and again, I really don't want to overstate this because this is like they went from 10 AI sourced visits a month to 100 AI sourced visits a month, but that was basically immediately after that process. And that's something that, despite GA4 having turned into a bit of a clunky monster for analytics, if you look, fairly straightforward process to look at your landing pages in GA4, filter them down by, include the source and medium in what you're looking at, and then filter it down to the organic source and medium, and you can see all the AI visits that you're getting there.
Okay. I was going to ask that question about how we see the
Same.
traffic and how we can track that.
Yeah.
So that is just by going into the sources and landing pages and which landing pages they got to. Do you think it'll get better though? Like it'll become, like organic search, direct search, AI
AI.
search, or something, so that it's because there could be, who knows where they came from. Like
It's the info is in there. The problem is that, I mean, GA4 is technically brilliant, but it's basically, and for anybody that's not familiar with it, it's the newest Google Analytics version that's about 3 years old, maybe 4 years old now, that became mandatory, I'm going to say about a year and a half ago when they dumped the old one. The old Google Analytics was wonderful because you could just go in and click a level deeper and a level deeper and a level deeper and see all this wonderful information. GA4 has all these crazy filters. It's installed differently according to a couple of choices you might make as you're installing it, but it will show you exactly how many people came from ChatGPT or came from Perplexity. Perplexity and ChatGPT are the big ones that I've been seeing for AI-based traffic. Originally, I haven't really gone and done any deep dives since Claude entered the picture and added real-time search to their product a few weeks ago. But the data is all in there. It's just GA4 almost hides it. But almost any bit of information that you can imagine, you can get out of it. And I'm an awful person to tell you how to do that, because I used to be an expert at GA4, in Google Analytics, and use it for years, could do literally anything, including like complex, like, oh, we need to do cross-domain tracking of understanding how this traffic arrived at a site, even after it went through like JNAP or something and ended up in our cart or a confirmation page. I'm hopeless now. It's like, it's just so non-intuitive for a non-technical person. They basically created a product that developers love and marketers hate with a passion.
I actually feel better about myself now that you just said that, because I really have a hard time with GA4. I really do. And I'm like, did I just lose all of my intelligence in this switchover, or like what happened? So that makes me feel better that you also, being an expert at the old Google, can't get around there quite as
I
the
know.
same.
Yeah, no, I even paid for training when GA4 came out, and my initial thing was, I spent over the Christmas holidays like 2 years ago. I was like doing 2 hours of training every day to kind of learn GA4. And I remember at the time being like, oh yeah, I get it now. This is like super powerful. And it is super powerful, but then sort of left the training. It's like 6 weeks later, I'm gonna have a look at this client site, and it's like, oh, I don't remember how to get any of this information. So it's just, it's pretty bad. So AI though is going to make it good for us, because the product probably exists already, but it's only a matter of time before we can just go to GA4 and either through a third-party app or through the API, just ask questions and get good information. So like, oh, hey, show me for March 2025, show me how many visits came through, sources, through AI sources. And I think you'll be able to get an answer instantly, because all that information is in there. It's just, and I actually just literally this month vowed to learn GA4 better, because I feel like I need to. I just felt so stupid on so many client conversations but I really do think that AI will provide an interface for GA4
Yeah.
that will allow us normal people to easily get the information we need. All the tools are there to have it. I mean, hey, there's an app for somebody to go and make that'll probably take them 3 hours, that would immediately be popular. Like the human to developer interpreter for GA4. But yeah, so I mean, as you can tell, I'm excited about this stuff. I mean, it's a ton of opportunity, and I mean, it's like it's almost like a total reset, especially with what I was saying earlier about smaller sites, especially if they focus on niches and verticals, being able to rank and show up in AI. It's kind of like the whole reset of the playing field, and a much more level playing field. So it creates tons of opportunities. As an agency owner, it's a bit terrifying, because I'm kind of predicting there'll be aggregation of agencies, because the productivity in performing optimization is I can see where it'll be sort of 5 to 10 times more productive in actually executing on stuff. I think there are room for premium agencies to still command decent fees, but oh my gosh, like I would, a year from now, I bet half the agencies will be gone, just because of what I kind of see as consolidation. And also the big issue of what happens when everybody has access to all these same tools. And that's where I think you're really going to see, and we've seen it already with sort of a division in the market with like all the crappy content creation that's emerged over the last few years, even before AI, and all the low quality kind of outsourced SEOs. You kind of seen agencies, ones that aren't differentiated by really real quality offering and a results and measurement focus. Those can still command a premium, but everybody else is kind of in a race for the bottom in terms of pricing and that sort of thing. I think that'll get even bigger as we move forwards. But just yeah, and I guess I've been rambling away because we've made it through a big chunk of of our time. So I mean, I would share kind of a few takeaways now for individuals that make sense for everybody. Include a real focus on quality in content. Again, this everybody having the ability to create mediocre to quite good content in an instant. You want to focus on excellence to be able to differentiate, and anything else is probably going to hurt the effort over time. That kind of leads to both companies and individuals becoming an expert in something that matters to their audience. Again, with the ability for every single, for instance, in my case, every single agency owner to go and write, oh, write me a post about the top tips for optimizing for Google Ads. Most anybody can create actually a pretty good article. You just go to ChatGPT and you'll get a pretty good article about that actually might contain some information, but it's really, that's good, but it's really, again, about picking and becoming an expert in your audience. So whatever industries, put in some regional and geographic flavor, find the audience that matters to you, and then inject your own strategic insight before turning it over to AI to help guide your content. Then, of course, building your own audience credibility, like I was mentioning earlier. And if you're a site owner, helping or somebody who's optimizing a site, helping your authors on the site build their credibility. So like the days of, and tons of, we've still got tons of clients that have this in place, that have the name of the poster in their blog is marketing or something like that. It's basically a department, not a human. You need to establish the humans that are posting and then establish their credibility. And then, yeah, kind of making it really easily readable and discoverable. Those would kind of be the top things. I know we've got some folks who've been quiet and some folks who are not visible, but yeah, happy to answer any questions or move into any topics that we want to dive a bit deeper into with our last 10 minutes.
I have a pretty specific question, but thank you, first of all that you've shared thus far, especially about GA4. That was really helpful, like you mentioned, Andrea, to know that I'm not nuts. So I've, from a client, have inherited a WordPress site with an Elementor plugin. And right now, the developer is having a difficult time adding categories under blogs. So when the user comes to the blog, there's all the blogs, but there's not a way to go ahead and for the user to be able to click on the different categories, whether they're tips or career announcements or different categories. So it's my understanding that SEO really prefers that there's categories associated with the blog. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially if they're strategically selected categories. Yeah.
And they were there and they've since disappeared. And so I'm working to get them back. And apparently there's something to do with Elementor. I won't get into the weeds of that, but I just wanted to make sure that I was on track in terms of pushing for it.
Oh, absolutely. That's WordPress's core functionality. And if you're not enabling, there's kind of two reasons that categories wouldn't be displaying. One is just that the page template needs to be updated to show them, or the other, which we see is which I hate, is that a developer somewhere along the way has taken it upon themselves to modify the theme so that it displays in a certain way that kind of doesn't allow that, which is to me a crime against the whole principle of WordPress in the first place. But yeah, there are some very specific ways of getting that back. And then the other thing is that custom category pages are also critically important. So not just so when you do click on the category, it goes to the page, it has that it's basically a list of dynamically displayed posts in that category. A lot of folks don't even know that you can customize that page to add sort of static optimization around it. You can add some optimized introductory paragraphs that both set the stage for users and visitors, but also make it way more likely for that page to show up in search. Even if you're using Yoast or something like that on the site, most people don't realize that if you go to edit that category page, that Yoast does show up, and you can add a meta page title and a meta page description. Yeah, there's a whole universe of optimization in that area.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Seems to me we're just getting back to the roots of how we should have all been building our sites anyway, right?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And yeah, I still like, yeah, I was gonna say love hate with Elementor. It's kind of more like hate, but it's not a bad theme. It really isn't. It's just how folks have chosen to use it. I mean, on the positive side is you can limit the number of third-party plugins you use by using Elementor, which saves a whole lot of hassles. But then, yeah, the optimization that does things like removing features that are native in WordPress just kills me.
Well, that kind of gives me an idea of maybe what had occurred as I figure this out.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, in theory, like a category list is something that you should be able to just inject onto any page. But yeah, most importantly, the default category page should be there. I don't know if you use any crawling tools, like something like Screaming Frog, but that'd be an interesting one, would be to crawl the site, and then you can actually see if there are category pages that might be showing up anyhow, and it's just that they're not displaying the ability to navigate to them right now.
Yeah, I think we need a little SEO refresh. So maybe we'll talk to Ryan on your team about that.
Yeah, yeah, sounds like a case study to me.
Yeah, we'll be featured on your blog post and we can do some like linking back and forth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
there's
no,
some,
I do think of that example of all the emerging things that you're covering. I think there probably is a big search opportunity there. Absolutely.
yeah. We have so much content that we put out there too, and I think we just need to be better at leveraging it in the ways that you're talking about, because we do have so much we can use. Um, yeah, Markers produce so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now we just need our sort of recipe for what to do with every piece of content. And then there you go.
Yeah. We need our workflow. We need to refine. So, Rob, this would be a good one. We need to talk about like a content workflow and SOP of how to best leverage when we're doing all this content. and you could help inform the SEO aspects of it. Because we look at whether it's paid, organic, whatever, like all the stuff we're putting on social, or on our website, we want to leverage it as much as possible. I think everybody does.
Yeah,
and there's got to be a method to this.
yeah, I kind of feel like for, well, basically like lots of companies are doing sort of best practices of having a steady stream of content and getting that awareness and that. But I think there's room for kind of like a second tier, an additional tier of content that's like, okay, well, let's pick some of our thought leadership content that is kind of a level higher even than the kind of steady state sort of helpful content that's going out, like picking like some content that maybe some extra time and attention has gone into. It's like, hey, this is some really good content that deserves some an extra level of attention to kind of get through those things. Because I think yeah, the doing every task and everything for every piece of content you produce probably isn't practical. But again, picking some real cornerstone content and picking some stuff to maybe go a little bit deeper in would be cool to look at.
Yeah. We'll have to schedule a meeting with you later about this and invite the crew.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm curious, Peter, is Branch up on the call, or Dan, Adam, Greg, anybody? Do you have questions for Rob before he goes? Because we're 2 minutes out.
Yeah, no, I have not done very much SEO at all. So I was kind of looking for, having done almost nothing, what are some quick ways to get started?
Okay. Did you get that?
Rob, did you hear me?
Oh yeah, I think, well, the yeah, I guess first thing is to, yeah, and I'm not sure kind of what the context is, if you're writing and creating stuff or if you're kind of managing a website, but I think building credibility for yourself or your authors, huge first step. Making sure to leverage some unique thoughts and opinion while writing for a specific audience. Those are absolutely things, and those are best practices in terms of quality as well. So those would be the first two things, and then yeah, there's a whole kind of bunch of other things that kind of roll out from there. But yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a very daunting piece to tackle because there's so much to it. So I was just kind of looking for a starting point.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with starting with quality and answering the questions that your unique audience is asking. What
Okay.
what are the biggest problems or opportunities for your specific audience and industry, and then answering those in your content, and then yeah, and then following some of those best practices to get it out. Again, without knowing a bit more about you and your context, it's hard to get too deep there, but that's always a great place to start.
Okay. Good, appreciate that. Yeah, I know it's a big question, so I was looking for any magic, just a starting point. So that helps. Thanks.
I didn't have a question, but Rob, as somebody who's currently like learning this stuff, I found this pretty insightful and I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that's great to hear. And yeah, I mean, there is some complexity to it, but I mean, one of the beautiful things about most all the AI stuff, much more about natural language and logic and communications than about technical trickery. So it's definitely accessible to folks even who are new at it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for spending the time with us today. Andrea and I were messaging back and forth like, hey, we need to